Okay, for context, Transformers Adventure is the Japanese version of Transformers RID 15, which means we are in the Japanese continuity of the Aligned Universe. So we have stuff that's canon only to Japan. Like, Prime never aired the Beast Hunter season, so you need to remember stuff like Knockout never joined the Autobots. Okay? Okay. To expand their toy line, Takara decided to add in some new characters based on the molds they already had, and also to anchor them somewhere in the universe. Out of time their bios mentioned them having conflicts with some of the main characters, meaning out of time we have new characters from some sort of a chain, where we can go from main series character to a new character and a side character connected to them. Let's start out with the first example. We have Grijibe, a redeco of Stronga that's a reference to Car Robot's Grijibe. His bio describes him as a strong user of crystal location, which was an ancient martial art performed on Cybertron. It focused mostly on hand-to-hand combat, the user trying to hit the enemy's metal fracture points. To prove how tough he is, he decides to go against the character from the TV show Grimlock, since they were sold as a 2-pack together. But he often butts head with his teammate, Roadblock. See, that's a nice chain of characters. Roadblock here is our first example of how creative Takara need to get to fill out their deluxe class toys. And they did that by using any mold they had. To make Roadblock they used Fling 30 Scoop. Bio describes him just as like a dumb bloke who often fights with his teammate Grijibe and his minicon Target Master. Yeah, they are straight up named Target Master. Also, Roadblock only has one Target Master, probably because it was the only one that shared plastic colors with the bigger bot. Let's continue our story of Grimlock. Sometime between his adventures on screen, Grimlock befriended Swoop and Slag, who were both captured by Lockdown on Earth. Their toys are redecos of animated ones, sadly missing the weapon. Why did Takara undig molds from animated? Well, they needed Dinobots. And why did they do that? Well, let me just show you what also came out in 2015, and everything starts to make sense. Swoop's bio mentioned that he fights with Dreadwing whenever he enters his airspace, while Slag feels some weird inner hatred for Knockout. Yeah, we get some returning characters from Prime, and that's why I mentioned that Knockout never joined the Autobots in Japan. The toy bio says that this Knockout got imprisoned after the Decepticons' defeat, but Knockout decided to strip off the parts of his inmates to upgrade himself into a new form named Bloody Knockout. After escaping the prison, he resurrected Dreadwing as a raging berserker that hates all the Autobots, and captured Slag to use as his guinea pig, explaining the Dinobots' hatred for him. The toy of Bloody Knockout and Dreadwing are a silver redeco and a dark blue redeco of the Beast Hunters toys. Takara probably decided to release them in Adventure since they didn't manage to release them in the Japanese counterpart of Beast Hunters named Transformers Go. See? The character stories are starting to get more interconnected. By the way, remember Knockout for later, since he will become important. Next character we have is Black Shadow, described as a super genius engineer. I'm mostly bringing him into this discussion cause it's interesting that Takara decided to release this toy in 2015, while Hasbro had it as Sky Shadow back in 2011. Maybe Takara felt like they also wanted the character in the toy line, since Black Shadow was originally a Victory character. Let's get back to the earlier mentioned Lockdown. Lockdown continues the trend of Dinobots, being an Age of Extinction styled redeco of his animated mold. This universe Lockdown is a bounty hunter that managed to take control of a bunch of kickbacks and bombshells, who are redeco of the Combiner Wars self. As mentioned earlier in this story, Lockdown teams up with Knockout and Dreadwing to work on some bigger projects. But those aren't the only teammates of Lockdown, since he also works with the Decepticon brothers, Runabout and Runamak, who are redecos of the Combiner Wars Blackjack, one being a regular release and the other being a really rare mail-away exclusive. Together, Lockdown, Runabout and Runamak, with the army of Insecticons, were hired by Knockout to help with a special project. To do that, they need to capture Ultra Magnus. As shown in the manga, Return, the most evil duo. We see that they managed to do that, but Magnus was rescued by his Autobot teammates, Ricochet, who's a redeco of Jazz, and a race rival of Sideswipe, based on the G1 Target Master, Override, a redeco of Combiner was Groove, a hot-blooded scout, and his rival, nasty and violent Street Fighter Dogfight, who was redeco of Combiner was Powerglide, and sold also in that 2-pack with Runamak. Both were based on the G1 Trigger bots, but that didn't matter since the capture of Ultra Magnus was just a decoy, so Knockout can get the last part of his special project. You are probably wondering, what was Ultra Magnus doing on Earth? Well, according to the toy's bio, he leads a special team consisting of himself, Powerglide, and Cosmos that helps B-Team in the shadow. It's also good to mention that Powerglide's bio mentions he once fell in love with a human woman, which caused a heart symbol to light up in his chest. This is of course a reference to a girl who loved Powerglide in G1. Also a fun fact, did you know that Cosmos was supposed to appear in the 3rd season of Prime? As an Autobot that scanned a movie prop as his ult mode. It's nice to see that even though only as a toy and only in Japan, Cosmos managed to appear in Aligned continuity. As toys, Ultra Magnus was a redeco of his later released Prime toy. Cosmos is mostly the same as his Thrilling 30 toy, and Powerglide is mostly the same as his Combinables toy. Let's get back to the main plot. What was Knockout's greatest plan? Well, it's Nemesis Prime. Maybe inspired by the one we see in the actual TV show, this Nemesis is also an evil copy of Optimus Prime. Knockout's reasoning for using Prime's likeness is that Autobots would never hesitate to attack someone who looked like their leader. Knockout assigned him under Lockdown's command. One moment after B-Team defeated Megatronus in the show, Nemesis was upgraded to a new powered-up form by some evil presence that emerged from Megatronus' wounds that he took after the fight. And that's it. After that, the Adventure toy line took a swerve in the Prime of Micron's subline that focused on the Minicons, and after that the series and the toy line were cancelled, with the 3rd season never airing, leaving us with the story of Nemesis Prime on a cliffhanger. Let's end it the same way as we started, with a new character related to the main characters from the show. Phantom Joe is one of the greatest Decepticon spies and the brother of Steel Joe. He uses out mode as a police car to attack unsuspecting Autobots, which of course makes him a rival to Strongarm, who feels offended as a police officer. Phantom Joe also appeared in the TV magazine story Birth, Black Knight Bumblebee, where he attacked B in Drift, but B managed to defeat him by scanning a dark code that made him harder to be seen. So yeah, that's all for the little story arc given to us by the Japanese re-2015 toy line. It gave us some new characters, some returning ones, an expansion of the adventure story and its world. Thank you for watching. Also want to thank all of my friends who helped me by reading the script for the first time. As you can see, it's like my first time doing more like a story educational thing. I don't know how to call it. Don't forget to like, subscribe and check out my other videos. Bye!